Hey yo guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today you're getting our first impressions of Ategnatos by Eluveitie. Alright guys, so Eluveitie, Swiss folk metal. Both of us are pretty unfamiliar with the band. We've reacted to their videos, we've checked out their videos. I do own a couple of their albums, so I'm not totally blind as to what they sound like and the whole vibe and stuff like that.
I'm rather blind. I've got a bit of a blindfold on. I mean, I did check out what we checked out here on the channel, and it was pretty nice. It was interesting. So, you know, I'm feeling like I'm gonna have some fun coming into this album.
Yeah, I believe the song we checked out was called Angren. It was a more softer song, and they definitely go up much heavier than that. So, what I'm looking forward to is seeing the contrast of the heavy stuff compared to the light stuff and how they mesh those together. But yeah, we're gonna go listen to it for the first time in its entirety, and we'll be back to give you guys our first impressions, so stay put. Hey guys, we're back. We just finished listening to Ategnatos from Eluveitie, and my thoughts were pretty bad. I shouldn't say they were bad. I've had worse, but oh man, this album felt like it dragged on a lot. There were some high points, I'm not gonna lie. I don't wanna shit on it completely. There are definitely some high points. But as a whole package, right now, I feel like the 16-song album should have been a 10-song album. There's 3 interlude type tracks that are completely useless. The outro track is completely useless. That's pretty much a quarter of the album right there as far as track numbers. A lot of the tracks kind of sound the same, blended together. They use a lot of the same formulas, a lot of the same structures where like they'll go through half the song, then they'll stop and they'll get quiet and you'll hear a little bit of flute or something like that. Then all of a sudden it picks up again and it finishes off the song. It's like, do that once or twice, but if you're doing it at 5 or 6 songs, it's like, do you not have any other ideas? Yeah. I don't know, I was just kind of disappointed really.
This album, I agree with you that it did go on for way too long. Honestly, near the end, I'm just completely burned out. But I'm trying to think of, you know, how all these songs, they do sound similar, but it's not like they all sound bad. Like, let's say they started it and so-and-so song and it sounded bad and every other song sounded like that, that would really suck. But the fact that, you know, some of the first few tracks, like the title track, like Death Walker, Blackwater Dawn, those sounded pretty nice. Everything else kind of sounded the same as that, which is not good, but it's a lot better than what it could have been because they're modeled after what was already good. So it's kind of just okay, at least to me. Like, okay, they sound cool, but nothing's really standing out the longer this album goes. And there are a few more things that are introduced, like some songs that focus primarily on the female vocals, but then that's done like 2 or 3 more times. Yeah. Like, they kind of, this album presents new concepts and new things in the songs, which do spice it up, but then they just start doing them again, which makes them feel not as special.
Yeah, I like the fact that they did break up the male vocal and the female vocal quite well, and they spread it out quite well. What I didn't like is when they tried to harmonize the two. For me, it just wasn't working as I think it was supposed to work. Again, that's just subjective. I even mentioned it during the session. I'm like, does that sound right to you? And you're like, well, you said you've heard better, but it doesn't sound bad. Yeah, I agree. It doesn't sound bad, but it just wasn't really hitting the mark that I can tell they're trying to hit, for me anyway. But like I said a minute ago, there are some high points on this album. So we're gonna talk about that in a minute, because I don't want to shit all over it, right? So my favorite song is track number 9, which is Mine Is the Fury. The intro's dope. This is one of the songs where they kind of almost set the folk element aside. And this song sounds a lot more just like melodic death metal, but it's got some black metal elements, it's got some thrash elements, it's heavy, it's aggressive. There's some questionable parts in the song during the middle. Like I said, it kind of breaks down again, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I like this.
And then they come back in with like super hard and
pick back up, yeah. But it thrashes out nicely, right? So overall, the package is there, but it's just some of the choices they make within the song are questionable to my ears, whether or not I'm really liking it. But those are things that can grow on me, whatever. Yeah. So did you have a favorite? Anything?
I think my highest rated was track number 3, titled Death Walker. And I think part of it was because this was at the beginning of the album, so it felt fresh to my ears. You know, this was the pumping energy, that fiddle was cool, there's some cool shots before the break. You know, lots of like parts of it sounded cool. It's just later on in the album, every other song kind of would sound like this one.
Yeah.
So I ended up rating my songs on this album decently across the board, just because, like I said, it doesn't sound bad. It's just too much of the same.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like you mentioned track number 3. It's early on in the album, and they present some unique elements. Like there's fiddle leads, there's bagpipes, there's different types of things that most metalheads don't hear that often unless they're specifically listening to folk metal. And you're like, wow, this is cool. I like these elements. It feels fresh. It sounds unique. But then when you're hearing those elements throughout the entire album, which I guess is the point of the band, but it loses its freshness, it loses its uniqueness, and it starts to just all kind of sound the same.
That being said, I mean, there are some moments where they use those instruments in an interesting way. In track number 5, A Cry in the Wilderness, there's a flute solo that like fuses with the guitar soloing.
Yep.
And I thought that was really nice. So they do present some cool things with those instruments like as the album goes.
Yeah, to add to that, they also let those types of instruments take the lead a lot of the time. Like a lot of times you'll have the fiddle being the lead or the flute being the lead, and then the guitars or whatever is the rhythm in the background, which I think is really cool that they don't always have lead guitar and then background instruments, which is kind of typical for most bands that use other instruments like this. They actually put those more obscure instruments in the forefront and let them shine a little bit, which is pretty cool. How do you feel about, I don't know the female vocalist's name, so you can leave it in the comment section if you guys know it, but what did you think about her voice?
It was pretty good, and you know what? I really liked the contrast that they had between her voice and the harsh vocals. Like you mentioned, I said I didn't really mind the layering on top of each other.
Yep.
I heard better, but it wasn't bad. So I was able to appreciate it.
Yeah, for me, her vocal tone was, I gotta find a word here, I don't want to say irritating to me, but it just wasn't really clicking with me. There's something about her vocal tone that seemed a little bit sour to me. I like her voice though. Alba Ramos, the second single that came out, and track number 8, she sounds phenomenal on that song. I think she sounds great on that song. I don't know why she sounds different to me there than she does on other songs, but she just seems like she's got a weird pitch or something like that. I'm not sure, but I was just listening to it going, ugh, there's something about it that's just not right to me.
But one thing to mention about that song is that flute lick that's right at the start, like that main thing. It bugs the shit out of me, but it's catchy. Like it gets in your head.
What, the beginning?
It just, yeah, but it just,
Okay, so I'd have to listen to it again because I don't remember off the top of my head, but there's a flute lick in the chorus that I think is awesome. I made a note of that, but I don't know if it's the same as the one at the beginning.
It might be, because it does kind of sound different when the chorus is happening and there's vocals on top of it.
It's super catchy.
It's not at the forefront,
yeah.
But in the beginning of the song, it of course is. It's introducing the musical concept that they have there. But I did note that in the choruses, it doesn't feel as bad because you have a vocal track on top of that.
I also noted that that song was actually heavier than I remember. I kind of remembered it being a lot more ballady, but I guess my memory is not the greatest. Yeah, we only did listen to it one time, but it was definitely heavier than I remember.
I just wanted to talk about, I mean, you already mentioned it, but the second track, it's an interlude. It's literally 12 seconds. I look at the screen, I see 12 seconds, I'm just like, what? It's literally just a continuation of the first track. At what point do you just put them together? Like, it's only 12 seconds.
Like I said, it's useless.
Doesn't need to even be on the album. The other interlude tracks I didn't mind as much because they had something to them, but the longer it went on, the more interlude tracks showed up. I'm like, why are there so many of them? There don't need to be.
There don't need to be.
You know, the last track I can give a little bit of a pass just because it's the final track.
Yeah, if the outro was the outro and the other interludes weren't there, it'd be a lot more forgivable. But the fact that they already had a bunch of interludes and then they put an interlude style song, it was more like, I don't know if you call it like a hymn or whatever, but it was basically just the female vocalist just singing some gospel type of stuff, it sounded like to me. Right, I don't know. Anyways, guys, we got a whole week to listen to this album. Soak it in, gather our opinions, and we'll see if it, you know, goes up or down on our what do you call it? Appreciation levels? I don't know. We'll see if we like it or not. I don't know, because right now I'm kind of in the down vote.
Okay-ish for me.
But it has room to grow, right?
Absolutely.
So we'll be back next week. Give you guys our full and final review of Ategnatos by Eluveitie. Eluveitie. Yeah, it's a tough one. Be sure to like the video, subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. I'm Wild Self.
I'm TV Fish.
I'll see you guys later.